Hello friends. It's been a long time since I felt called to make a video, and today is one of those days. So it's in the middle of eclipse season, September 2025. This will be a timeless video, so whenever you are tapping in, this is going to be when you're meant to tap into it. So this energy is just coming up. There's a lot to clear, a lot to purge, a lot to alchemize, and a lot to really just accept and integrate. So I was just in the shower and I was thinking about fear, and how many places in my own life that I'm feeling afraid to move forward, and how sometimes I can tell myself that I'm feeling blocked, I'm feeling stuck, I'm feeling like things aren't moving for me, I'm not in the right place, I'm not at the right time, there's friction there. And while that might be true, I think a lot of the time that friction is in fact just a fear of the unknown. And that fear is normal, and it also does get in the way of what we're trying to create and what we're trying to build. So in honor of this eclipse season, I'm just feeling called to come in and help to clear any of those energies from my field, and by default yours as well. So here we go. So I'm gonna tap in and just clear the energy first with this Palo Santo. And as we're tuning in, I'm just gonna get you to take a few deep breaths just to center yourself, to ground yourself. This clearing is going to have a lot to do with root chakra, feelings of safety, stability. And while I don't tap into any particular energy healing modality, I like to work a lot with crystals, and I tap into the quantum energy grid. So I'm working a lot with energies that are outside of space and time, outside of this particular incarnation, this particular space-time realm, and we're tapping into something that's larger, something that is integrated within all of us and is expressed through space and time, through these incarnations, but not necessarily held only within them. So if that goes above your head, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. But yeah, I'm not using necessarily Reiki or anything else. I am intuitively and divinely guided to connect to the I am presence, source energy, frequency, tapping in outside of the concept of separation. We are all the same being from the highest perspective. And so as we're tapping into this, I am you, you are me, we are the I am. And I'm feeling called to use these sacred woundings, oracle cards, to just tap into what energies are coming up to be cleared today, what wounds they may be connected to. So this says needing to address self-sabotage patterns. will show up as actions or thoughts that undermine your success, often unconsciously, like procrastination, perfectionism, or self-doubt. They may manifest as repeating negative behaviors, avoiding opportunities, or holding back from achieving your full potential, driven by fear of failure, unworthiness, or past trauma. And yeah, when I was really reflecting on this energy, I was feeling into all of my past failure experiences, or how things I perceived as failure, things I perceived as loss, things I perceived as I guess, yeah, just things that made me feel like I wasn't good enough, and I wasn't able to achieve what it was that I set out to do. And this was really coming up even in terms of like fear of the larger self, fear of my higher self, fear of being tricked, being deceived, fear of not living in a benevolent universe, not having forces that support my highest good in this realm or any others, right? And so when we're getting into, I've been dealing a lot with the idea of existential fear a lot the past few years, because there is so much to clear in that realm, right? Because again, we don't know, and so much that we have heard and been told and been taught about how the universe works, or about God, about source, about creation, right, is about either a punishing God, a God that is willing to send you to hell or eternal damnation for not, jumping through hoops in the right way, for not connecting in the right way, for not being the right way, the concept of being deceived by evil, being deceived by self, being deceived by someone other than self, somebody more powerful than you. And I don't know about you, but I definitely have experienced a lot of that in my awakening journey in the past 5 years. When you're going through the dark night of the soul, I think you can really have a lot of experiences that are for your highest good, and they're helping you to clear and to alchemize and to let go of everything that is not you. And yet they can be extremely painful experiences. And sometimes we can go through what feels like deception in those processes. A lot of people think about them as, spiritual attacks, psychic attacks, anything like that. But I don't buy into that anymore. And we all have our own journey, our own pathways, our own ways of making sense of this kind of stuff. So if those things do resonate for you, like, that's good, that's fine, there's no problem with that. That belief system just doesn't feel like it serves me at this point in my journey. But we can run into things that feel like they're supposed to be one way, and then they go another way. And you can spend time feeling deceived, feeling heartbroken, feeling loss, feeling, I'm still going through that a lot of the time, where I'm like unsure as to where to move, how to move forward, because I don't feel capable of dealing with any more loss at this point in my life, like dealing with any more heartbreak. And that can be really challenging, right? That can be really challenging because it's necessary a lot of the times on the journey, but that doesn't mean that every step forward is going to lead to heartbreak, right? But it can sure feel that way sometimes, for sure. And so I think I've been stuck in that for a long time, just thinking about what might go wrong, not feeling supported, not feeling anchored, not trusting that there is the potential for my desires to be fulfilled, right? To feel like I am being supported, to feel like I am being provided for, in spite of the fact that I do actually have so many beautiful manifestations of that in my life on a daily basis, right? Like when you really look for it, when you search for those things that will help you to see all the ways in which you are divinely guided, you are supported, you are anchored, you can trust. We often don't tune into those in the same way that we do the experiences that harm us, that feel painful, that feel aggressive almost, you know? And so we really, in the process of this journey, have to think about how it is that we want to shape our perception of reality and how we want to structure our thought patterns and our belief systems around the experiences that we've had, right? Because as we learn from the concept of confirmation bias, whatever we're seeking to find, our brains are filtering all of this information all of the time, right? So everything that we're processing is being directly filtered through a lens of confirmation bias. Whatever we're seeking, we are filtering information through our brains in a way that makes sense of our belief system that we already hold. We're looking to confirm the beliefs that we already hold. We're looking to seek out safety. We're looking to seek out stability. We're looking to seek out familiarity. And familiarity isn't always comfortable, but it's more comfortable than the unknown, right? It's more comfortable than the discomfort of seeking something outside of that which we already know. And so it can be really difficult, right? And we can get stuck, we can get paralyzed almost by this fear. And that doesn't mean that the fear is bad. It doesn't mean that the fear is negative. It doesn't mean that the fear is not serving us, because I do think sometimes it can serve us. Otherwise it wouldn't be there, right? And so we can think about, like, how can we witness this? How can we hold this? How can we integrate the wisdom of the fear that we have inside of us without allowing it to consume us and without allowing it to dictate the actions and the pathways that we take forward, right? And that's the journey. That's both the journey and the destination in a lot of ways. And all we can do is just move one foot forward and take the next step and allow for what comes up to arise and to learn and grow from those experiences. And there's nothing wrong also with taking a break, right? With resting, with sitting in uncertainty, sitting in fear, sitting in discomfort. And there are times in which we truly are not capable of moving through that. And so sometimes the best thing is to just sit still and to witness it and to be with it and to be with ourselves and to trust that in time. Sorry, my cat wanted out of the room. Just to sit with it and to be present with it and to learn what we need to learn from that, but to recognize when that sitting still is no longer serving us. And that can be really challenging. So that is even what I'm attempting to move through and move forward through shooting this video, is just really trying to welcome in that fear and to do it scared, right? To do it anyways. And in the process of creating this, I'm hoping that it will help other people to connect to this. If you're resonating with this video, you likely have been going through something similar. And just to say that, like, no matter how enlightened, how together, how aware you are, we all move through these periods, right? And it is part of the process, and there's nothing wrong with it. But like, we can, even by speaking it out loud, by addressing it, by accepting it, right? And as accepting it as part of our transformation, accepting it as part of the human experience, but not necessarily an experience that we need to allow to shape everything as we move forward. Hopefully it will help us to transition and to move through this eclipse season and to transmute and alchemize and integrate what it is that needs to be, or is asking to be looked at, to be cleansed, to be cleared, to be repurposed is the word that just came through for me, and that feels really good. How can we repurpose the energy of fear in a way that rings true to the version of us that we currently are, and not the versions of us that we have moved through in the past? Because as we have gone through, if you do believe in this collective ascension process, which I firmly believe that we are moving through and into a different way of being, we are transitioning, and a lot of us are leading the way into the transformation of a different way of humanity to be, to exist in the world. We're bringing back this empowered experience of humanity, understanding and integrating new awareness of how we move through the world and the power that we do hold and that we do have. As we really move through this, we are repurposing a lot of these energies that already exist. Even the scientific principle I always go back to, that energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only change form. And a lot of us have been going through this process of actively transforming our own energy into something that serves us now. And as we do that, the external reality is also being transformed, right? I believe that as within, so without, as without, so within. Everything is always informing. One is always informing the other, and vice versa, right? It's so cyclical. So it's not like everything is happening only internally and we can control everything that's happening, right? It's a feedback loop. And as we're understanding more of how we and our energy and our belief system and our structure and the way that we move through the world is actually directly impacting the material world and the way that it actually manifests. And then when we see what's happening in the external world, that informs and shapes the way that we move, the way that we function, the way that we process, right? And so at a certain point in time, in order to shift those relational dynamics, that framework of the inner and outer relationship, we need to re-examine, right? Like, how are we reacting? How are we responding? How are we moving within the world? And am I allowing myself to reclaim the agency that I do have in my physical world and in my belief system, in my internal world, in my structure, in the way that I process information, the way that I'm filtering information, the way that I am believing things to be functioning? How am I then actually physically shaping my reality? And so the more that we understand how these energies function, the more that we are actually influencing the way that the external energies respond to us in return. And we can look at this as manifestation. We can look at this as any number of ways, right? There's so many different ways to explain the way that the energy functions within the universe, right? And there's so much that we don't understand yet. And I can't claim to understand all of it, right? I'm not a perfect being. I'm not an all-knowing, omniscient, omnipotent being. I am still, just a person in this body trying to figure it out just like everyone else is, right? So there's so much that we don't understand and so much that we don't know, but there is also so much that we do understand, and we can use that to empower us to the best of our abilities. So as we move through these times, what I was trying to get at is that we have to remember that we're not in the same world that we were in our previous experiences. The world is not the same. We are not the same. And so we can't go into things anticipating the same results, because we are different and the world is different because of the work that we have been doing, the internal work, the external work. All of this stuff is happening, and it is actually restructuring the way that the external energy responds to us, as well as we redesign the way that we integrate and we interface with the world around us, right? So the energies are different. And so we cannot go in anticipating the same results that we had before, because things have changed. And so we have to really remember that, right? Anchor that, believe that, honor that the fact is that things have shifted, things are different, and things will continue to be different. And we can go into it believing that we are supported, we are connected, we are aligned. If we can look at the universe as being a large algorithm, right? That's also looking to confirm everything that we believe to be true. What if we believe that, right? And what happens if we believe that? What if we shift to that belief system? What if we shift to believing that we are supported, believing that we are different, and that things are different, and that things have the ability to be different, and that we do have power, and we do have agency, and we do have stability in ourselves, and we can trust ourselves, and we can trust the universe, and we can trust God, and we can trust whatever higher power, the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, however you structure this, your relationship with the unknown, right? The unknown, the higher power, the cosmic energies, whatever you align to, none of those even have to ground for you in order for you to receive the message that I'm saying, right? Where are you not claiming your agency, and where are you not seeing what you have already available to you, and where are you not seeing that your belief systems are impacting your relationship with the world around you, your relationship with the choices that you make, the decisions that you make, the ways in which you engage with something outside of yourself, right? All right, so I think a lot of that already was clearing energy just through a more... So the way that I'm looking to approach these videos, and who knows how it will evolve as time goes forward, but the way that I'm looking to integrate these energies is by first tapping in to an energy through the cards, and using that from a more logical perspective to talk about it, to vocalize it, to start moving energy from a more logical place, right? And so then as we start doing that energy work, as we start tapping into that more logical side of things, then I'm going to come in and start actually doing the energy work, right? Actually working with crystals. I like to use light language, which is often hand signs, vocalizations, using the breath to move energy. And so we'll tap into the less logical side of things, the more energetic, spiritual side of things, because they are, at the end of the day, working in harmony from my perspective. And I believe that tapping into both of those helps to bridge some sort of understanding. It bridges the nuance in between those sort of competing sides of the brain that might not fully, you know, like there's going to be the skeptical part, right? Where it's just like, oh, it's woo-woo shit, you know, like it's all make believe, right? And then there's going to be the woo side, the side that's like, hell yeah, you know, like I believe in energies, I believe in energy healing, I believe in, you know, and both of those exist, I think, in all of us. And in spite of the fact that I'm like very, very comfortable with my woo-woo side at this point in time in my life, I still have the aspect of myself that like thinks it's all bullshit, right? Truthfully it does. And that doesn't mean that it is or that it isn't, right? But we have to recognize and be willing to acknowledge all of the parts of ourselves, all of the facets of ourselves that are, at the end of the day, wanting to harmonize and wanting to really like anchor in. Those two sides are working together. And so the more that we can engage with both of those sides, I believe, and start bridging them, start asking them to work harmoniously together towards our highest good and the collective highest good, right? Where it's like, we don't need to force parts of ourselves to not exist. We don't need to force aspects of ourselves to not be present in this process, right? Because we just have to be willing to accept what's there and to ask all parts of ourselves to work together towards what is going to benefit us and the collective and everyone and everything through whatever means necessary, right? And so we get all aspects of ourselves on board by acknowledging all of them, by making space for all of them, by witnessing all of them, by loving all of them, and to say, you're welcome here, even if it doesn't feel harmonious, right? Because the more that we can do that, the more that we can create safety for all of these individual components of ourselves, which is really what the root chakra is all about: creating safety, creating stability, creating an anchor through the self, right? An anchor that we believe that no matter what happens, I am safe, I am supported, I am stable, I am provided for, like all of these things, right? And that starts with the self. And so we have to make sure that all parts of us are feeling safe. And that's where this energetic component really comes in, is like, how do I create safety? How do I create the stability? How do I create the structure to make sure that I know that no matter what happens, I am working in my own highest good towards my own highest good and the highest good of all life, all beings, all creation, right? Yeah, okay. So I'm feeling called to start moving energy. So we'll get you to take a few more deep breaths. Close your eyes if it feels comfortable. And even though we are working with the root chakra, what I want you to tap into is your heart space. And if it feels comfortable, if it feels good for you, place both of your hands on your heart space. And really anchor into your heart. And as you breathe in, you're breathing in universal love, divine loving energy. And as you breathe out, you are breathing out your own love for yourself, for creation, for everything. All right, so now if you can actually tap into the feeling. What does your heart space feel like to you? It may be like sort of a bit of a hum, a buzz. You might feel even a tightness, a heaviness in the chest. Or you might feel a lightness, an openness. You might feel a lot of energy, or you may feel an absence of energy and openness, a window almost. But if you can tap into what this space feels like for you, and just allow it. You don't have to change it. You don't have to try and restructure your breath. You don't have to restructure anything. Everything that you feel is completely normal. It's completely fine. We're just learning. We're feeling into where we're at right now. How does this energy feel? And sometimes I notice for myself right now, the way that I'm feeling is there's like an expansiveness almost through the front of my body, but I can feel a constriction through the back of my body. And it's almost like there's opposing energies in the heart space. So I'm just doing a little bit of movement here, starting to move some of the energies through. And I always like to look at the heart because it is actually the source. We are electromagnetic beings. And the heart is the source of both our life force energy within the body, right? The heart pumping, blood pumping oxygen through the body. And at the same time, it is also the source of our electromagnetic field. So the more research that we do about the heart and the non-physical energies that surround the body, I firmly believe that there is an electromagnetic field that is almost like, so if you imagine our body is the nucleus of a cell, right? It is the physical, the most condensed, contained version of the self. But there's also a larger field of energy around us. Sometimes we view it as an aura, we can view it as an energy body, we can view it as any type of structure. But I believe it's an extension of our nervous system. It's an extension of our field. It helps us to navigate the energies of the world around us. It helps us to read energy. It helps us to experience what's happening. It's our extrasensory perception. It's all of those things, right? And I believe that also stems from the heart. So I believe that the heart is the bridge. The heart is the bridge. If you also look at it within the chakra system, it's the bridge between the lower and the higher chakras. And so it functions as almost a portal, an anchor point. So a really good practice, if you're ever feeling like you don't know where to go, how to start, how to move, if you're ever in a state of overwhelm, just taking a few minutes to tap into the heart space is a really good place to go. All right, so now I'm going to get you to envision your energetic field, the bubble of your energetic field, your aura, your extrasensory structure, your semi-permeable membrane, however you want to view it, however you want to envision it. I'm just going to get you to think about that heart space starting to fill up that bubble. And every time you breathe in or out, you're circulating more of that heart space energy into your electromagnetic field. And each breath, it becomes more and more saturated. And I like to view, sometimes I can envision the heart space energy as being green. It can also be seen as pink, or oftentimes an amalgamation of both. You can envision it any way that you want. It can be glitter, it can be fog, it can be solid color, it can be liquid, it can be liquid light, it can be glittery, it can be anything, right? Anything that makes you feel good, right? Anything that is easy for you to tap into, anything that comes naturally to you. And I'm just getting, just an aside here, if any of you are sort of feeling like your energy field is a little bit like sludgy, like there's like almost tar or like some, build up plaque, whatever. Just envision that this heart space energy is helping you to break through that. It's sort of like if you go and get your teeth cleaned, right? Just imagine that this is sort of breaking up that tartar, that hard space, or that sludgy space, that energy that is not wanting to move, that might be stagnant, that might be sitting heavy in the energy field, right? And we're just gently caressing it, we're gently coercing it to start moving. And it's starting to be enveloped by all of this energy, and it's starting to be just wrapped in it. So even if it just needs to be wrapped in it and just be present with it, that's fine. Or if it's ready to start being dissolved. And so as you envision it, you can actually envision that little bit of tar or tartar or that sludgy energy to start being sort of transformed, repurposed. Again, we'll go into that, right? Repurposing that energy. Okay, so now that we are really present, we're tapped in to this energy field, and we have brought in all of that loving energy, all of that anchored energy. Now we're gonna start breathing that energy down. So if any of you is familiar with a torus field, I believe that our auric field is actually a torus field. So, and our energetic, our chakra system, this pillar that runs through our body, is actually part of that torus field. And so it's an electromagnetic field that is powered by the heart space that almost looks like a donut. So imagine like a donut being wrapped around your energy field, right? So the center of the donut is you, your physical body, your physical vessel. But all of that energy runs through your system. And that is what I view the chakra system as, is that sort of energy center, the center point of where all of that energy is converging and moving and anchoring through the body. So we often will tap into, 7 chakras or whatever, but realistically, and as many different forms of ancient energy medicine and wisdom show us from many different cultures, there are so many different energy centers in the body. So many. There's thousands, millions, infinite centers of where the energy is meeting and converging and flowing. So don't get too caught up on chakras. It's basically just, for me, a more tangible way of explaining something that's sort of more intangible, right? And so when we're thinking about the root chakra, they say that it's housed sort of like right at the base of your spine. So sort of in between, they say your like perineum is where that energy is. So that's sort of where, between where your genitals sit and your anus, that little pocket of skin, that is sort of considered to be the seat of the root chakra. And the root chakra is all about stability. It's about safety. It's about structure. It's about where we can tap into the feeling of being anchored into this physical space. And that space is where you're now going to start directing that energy. So we're going to move our awareness from the center of our chest, and you can place your hands back there if you would like. And now we're going to start drawing that breath down. So we're going to draw that breath down the body, and we're going to move it. So sort of here, if you can view it at the front and the back. A sort of like pelvic bowl, the floor. Start sort of building up that energy. If you can imagine, there's like a bowl right there, your pelvic bowl. Just start filling it up. I'm just going to use this piece of selenite. To help to cleanse. So imagine that as this energy runs up and down your channel, it is also being repurposed, being cleansed. Now I'm going to come in with this fire quartz. And fire quartz is essentially just quartz with some different inclusions in it. So I believe that most of the inclusions that are present in this piece of quartz are hematite. And hematite is great for protection, for cleansing, for grounding. Really deep breaths here. All right, I think some light language is wanting to come through. Iaro konasere koshinya sekia. Ianakase iash enki aras konia si irak. Irakanesi iashiki inasi irokorania sekia shias. Shinisiek kandiasi I arashiniasi iki iro ianasekia ashinisi I ira koranias. Iranasikiash. Iranasikia shiki kia nesekia. Shinasekia shu. Shukor nesekia arash. Shinasikia irak. Shinasikia konasekia anakia sekikia. Konasekia arakia sekikia. So if you need to get up and move at this point in time, feel free to do that. Or if you need to rock, shift, any type of movement that's needing to come through, feel free to do so. And just know that you don't have to, even though it sort of feels or looks silly, right? Like you don't have to understand this with your logical mind, because what we're doing is we're essentially like bypassing the logical mind. We're getting to a space in which we're using sound and we're using movement as a way to ask the body to get into the body and to get into the larger energetic structure without needing to fixate on what's happening. All right, so again, start focusing on that heart space. Bring your energy back. All right, now I'm going to use this. It's a Vogel cut quartz. And Vogel cut crystals are really cool. They were created by a scientist named Marcel Vogel, and this one is not a true Vogel. It's a Vogel style crystal. True Vogels are usually quite expensive and quite rare to find somebody that is actually versed in creating them to the specifications that Marcel Vogel set out. But this fat bottom end is the masculine end, and it helps to draw out energy. This top end is the feminine energy, feminine side of the crystal. And that basically helps to alchemize or transmute. So they're really useful in energy healing because it helps to restructure and repurpose. So I'm setting the intention here. To help anchor into the body and into the mind, into the conscious awareness, into your physical reality, into your knowing, into your loving awareness. Everything that's just been cleared, anything that's just been repurposed. We're doing so for the highest good of yourself, the highest good of the collective, the highest good of our shared energy space. So continue to breathe. Take a sip of water if you need it. and allow for yourself to feel into your body and to feel into what's shifted. If it doesn't feel like anything's shifted, that's okay. It doesn't need to. You don't need to do anything. You didn't do anything wrong. No matter where you're at, no matter what's happening for you, it's exactly where you need to be. It's exactly as it's meant to be. All right, and now the last thing. I'm just going to use this wand. And it's going to just help to anchor everything in. It's copper and black tourmaline, which is very grounding, very stabilizing, and very cleansing. Just clear quartz at the top. So what this is doing is it's helping to draw everything down and through your energetic field. So it's helping that energy to circulate and helping it to anchor. So I don't know about you, but I feel a big difference in my own energetic field. And like I said before, I made this video for myself, and the way that I view things is that anyone that was drawn to this is moving through the same or similar energies within the collective field that I am. So I'm hoping that it was as beneficial for you as it was for me, and if not, then the very least I received what I needed from the experience. So make sure that you go do something fun for yourself. Go try and just like consciously think about aspects of your life, parts of your day that show you that you're supported, that allow you to feel grounded and anchored and stabilized within your physical reality. And the more that you concentrate on those things, the more that your brain will start filtering for those things, and you'll start to see and receive all of the ways in which you are already loved and you are already supported and you are already exactly where you need to be. And no matter what is coming up for you, no matter what you're moving through, no matter how you're feeling, it's all perfect. And everything is temporary. So don't respond to something temporary as if it's permanent. Just allow it to be there. Allow it to be received, allow it to be held, allow it to be loved, and also allow it to be repurposed when it's ready to be repurposed. With gratitude and with love. All right, I think that feels complete to me. So I really hope this was useful for you. Thank you so much if you stayed till the end. If you didn't, it's all good. You won't see this anyways, so all right, take care.